In a heartwarming twist, she discovered an incredible secret: "I've waited for you for 10 years." In the small town of Maplewood, where whispers traveled faster than the morning coffee brewed at the local diner, Sarah Wilson stood on the brink of transformation. At 30, she juggled the exhaustion of late-night shifts and early mornings with the joy of being a mother to her 7-year-old son, Ethan. But with bills piling on her tiny kitchen table, the flickering streetlights she passed on her evening walks often seemed to cast shadows of doubt over her dreams of being more than just a waitress, dreams that felt as distant as a star every day at Ollie's diner. Sarah wore her heart like a badge. She greeted customers with her warm smile, replenishing mugs while breaking into laughter with the locals. Yet inside, she felt the weight of unfulfilled aspirations. One particularly difficult night, as the diner closed up, she penned her thoughts in a tattered notebook. "I want to share my story," she wrote, yearning to let people see the truth behind her smile. Then came the announcement of the annual Maplewood Fair, and with it, a storytelling contest. Hope flickered inside her like a candle. This would be her chance, a platform to reach out, to connect, to show her community that love and resilience shine brighter than struggles. As Sarah poured her truths onto the page, she felt each word lift her spirit. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. But while Sarah's pen danced on the paper, light and shadow loomed beyond her. Unbeknownst to her, her estranged father, Michael, lingered in the corners of her memories, haunted by guilt and an unshakable desire to right wrongs from years past. Feeling drawn to the fair, he fought against his fears. Could he truly face his daughter after so long? On the day of the fair, the sun painted the sky with hues of orange and pink. Sarah stood backstage, her heart racing as she listened to the crowd's excited chatter. That's when she heard it, the piercing call of truth that shattered her world. An article about her, penned by a local journalist, had gone viral. She was no longer just the waitress, she was an embodiment of resilience, and suddenly, everyone wanted to know her story. Just as she prepared to step into the spotlight, she caught sight of a familiar figure, a man with a rugged face, eyes glimmering with nostalgia. Her breath caught. Michael had come, standing at the fringes of the crowd, unseen by her until now. In that moment, an avalanche of emotions crashed over her: the years of waiting, the hurt of abandonment, and the hope of reconciliation. As Sarah stepped onto the stage, the air thick with anticipation, she felt a bond being forged between her past and present, a connection that could lead to forgiveness or heartbreak. What choice would she make? Would she finally open the door to healing, or would she close it forever? The audience leaned forward, every heart echoing with the weight of her decision, hanging on the brink of the profound moment that was about to unfold. Sarah's heart raced as she stepped into the spotlight, the bright stage lights washing over her like a wave. The din of the crowd faded into a hum, their eager faces blurring into a sea of anticipation. What was meant to be a simple storytelling contest now felt monumental, a defining moment that could alter the course of her life forever. She looked out into the crowd, her eyes scanning for familiar faces. Friends, neighbors, and even strangers seemed to lean in closer, waiting to hear the truth she had hidden in her chest for far too long. And then, there he was. Her father. Michael. In that instant, her legs felt heavier, the weight of their shared history anchoring her to the ground. Memory surged of laughter, of tears, of a little girl yearning for a dad who'd vanished like smoke. Taking a deep breath, she clenched her notebook, its worn edges soft against her skin. This was her moment. She whispered a silent prayer, asking for clarity, courage, and most of all, the strength to be real. "Thank you all for being here," she began, her voice breaking as she fought against the tide of emotion. "I'm Sarah Wilson," and she hesitated, the profound importance of the words nearly choking her. "I've spent much of my life feeling invisible." A few gasps echoed from the audience. Sarah noticed the furrow between her mother's brows, the worry, the love. It reminded her why she was standing there. By sharing her story, she could not only reclaim her identity but also pave the way for others to do the same. I've faced challenges, and I've fallen down more times than I can count. But those setbacks have shaped me. They've shown me the beauty of resilience. As she spoke, she began to see the faces of her son, and more importantly, her father. In a fragmented moment, all the years of hurt seemed to bind together. She suddenly felt a softness in her heart. Maybe this was not just about her speech. It was bigger than that. It was about healing. As a mother, I want my son to know that it's okay to be vulnerable and to own your truth. It's okay to struggle, and it's okay to ask for help. Her voice rose, gaining strength. Today, I'm here to share not just my story, but the story of hope and love, the story that lives in each of us, waiting to be told. The crowd was silent, utterly captivated. But in that silence, she felt Michael's presence pressing at her edges. Memories of past joys and hurts swirled. What choice would Michael make? Would he step into her world, or would he remain a ghost? Sarah locked eyes with him, her heart pounding louder than before. He stepped forward, apprehensive yet hopeful, appearing like an apparition from her childhood. "I'm sorry, Sarah," he said, his voice raspy and raw. "I've waited too long to tell you." That the audience was hushed, hanging on both their words. In that split second, Sarah stood poised on the threshold of reconciliation. But what if his apology wasn't enough? What if this was just another empty promise? Her breath caught. The weight of her memories hung in the air like fog, and she realized this was the moment of truth. Would she allow him back in or put up her defenses one more time? As she opened her mouth to respond, the crowd shifted nervously, a collective breath held in anticipation, each heart whispering questions that mirrored her own. Would she take that leap, or would she choose to build walls instead? "Dad," the words clung to her like thick syrup, sticky and suffocating. She could see his desperation etched in the lines of his face, the years of absence crystallizing into regret. The stillness around them was electric. She could feel the weight of every eye in the room, their silent support palpable. Did she dare break the spell? Could she trust him again? "Sarah," he urged softly. "I've missed everything. I know I can't change the past, but I want to be part of your life again." Her heart twisted at the sincerity in his voice. She had dreamed of this moment, a dad wanting her back. Yet, a familiar apprehension crept in. Hadn't she taught herself not to rely on hope? "You just disappeared," she managed to say, her voice trembling. "How can I believe you now?" She could see the pain flash across his face. It was a mirror of her own, a reflection of years spent aching for a father's presence. "I was scared," he admitted, his voice breaking slightly. "I thought leaving would be better for you. I see now how wrong I was." A long silence hung between them, stretched thin with unspoken words. In their shared gaze, Sarah saw fragments of her childhood, the laughter, the bedtime stories, the happiness that echoed in their home before it all fell apart. But alongside that was the shadow, the abandonment, the loss. It clawed at her heart. "I'm afraid," she said finally, her voice small yet resolute. "Afraid of being hurt again." "I understand," Michael quickly replied, nodding earnestly. "But healing takes time. I want to work for it. Please, let us start small. I don't expect you to trust me overnight." She could feel the crowd inching closer, the anticipation thick. It was as if the entire room held its breath, hoping she'd leap into the unknown. Maybe we can take one step at a time." Her heart fluttered at her own willingness to open the door just a crack. Michael's expression transformed. It wasn't relief, it was hope. "Yes. I can do that. We can go for coffee, just talk. No pressure, I promise." A hush fell over the audience, their supportive murmurs swirling into a soft cheer. It felt surreal, the connection building, the warmth of possibility filling the cracks in her heart. "And I want you to meet my son," she added, surprising herself. "He deserves to know his grandfather. In that moment, it felt like they had crossed a threshold. A bridge had formed over the chasm of their shared history, dim and daunting but somehow illuminated by a flicker of trust. Cheers erupted from the audience, a swell of encouragement that lifted her spirits. Sarah allowed a smile to break through her anxiety. Just then, a loud voice rang out from the back, cutting through the electricity that filled the air. "Sarah! Don't forget to share your favorite stories." Laughter erupted, breaking the tension and surrounding her with warmth. Even Michael chuckled, clearly touched by the lightheartedness. All right. She laughed, collecting her thoughts as she turned back to them. "I'll share plenty of stories, hopefully ones about how a father and daughter found their way back to each other." With that realization, a new weight settled over her, not of fear but of hope. The journey ahead wasn't solely about healing, it was about rebuilding. Sarah spotted her mother's approving smile and felt strength pulsating within her. But then, as her heart swelled with warmth, she remembered her other truth: the pain still lingered. Would this chance truly heal their past, or merely brush it under the rug? Could she be brave enough to confront it all? That night, Sarah knew one thing was certain: they had a long road ahead. Before stepping off the stage, she took one last look at Michael. "You have to understand, this is a two-way street. My heart can't be the only one taking the risk." As his eyes sparkled with promise, she wondered what truths waited for them on that journey. What buried secrets lay in the path they would walk together? The next morning, the sunlight filtered through Sarah's curtains, casting a warm glow across her room. As she lay in bed, memories of last night danced in her mind. The heartfelt words exchanged between her and Michael replayed like a cherished song. She felt a flicker of hope, buzzing gently in her chest. Was this truly the start of something new? After getting ready, she settled down with a mug of steaming coffee. When she took a sip, its rich warmth seeped through her, grounding her in the present. But soon, an unsettling thought surfaced: what if Michael's intentions weren't as pure as they seemed? Just then, her phone buzzed on the table. It was a text from her mom. "How are you feeling today?" Her heart flickered. It was important to check in. She typed back, "I'm okay. Just trying to process everything." Another ping reverberated through her phone. It was Michael. "Can we meet this afternoon?" Sarah hesitated. Her heart raced, teetering between excitement and doubt. She quickly typed back, "Okay." "Where?" His reply was instant. "The cafe we used to go to. The one by the park." A flood of memories hit her, woven into that place: the laughter, the shared stories, the sense of security. It was bittersweet. As she stepped out of the house, the fragrance of fresh flowers filled the air, mingling with the distant sounds of children playing. She closed her eyes for a moment, inhaling deeply. It was as if the universe was readying her for this meeting. The cafe stood just like she remembered, with its cozy seating and friendly barista. But inside, her nerves twisted. What if they encountered more hurt than healing? When Michael arrived, the weight of his presence seemed to seep into the space between them. He looked different, older, perhaps wiser. "Hi, Sarah," he said with a tentative smile. "Hi." The word escaped her like a breath, both relieved and hesitant. They ordered their drinks, the small talk coming more naturally than either had expected. As they sat down, she noted the way his hands trembled slightly while he spoke. "I've been thinking about what you said, the risk, the two-way street. I know I need to do better." "Do you mean that?" she asked, her voice steady but guarded. The question hung in the air between them, heavy with expectation. "I do. I want to share everything: my life, the past, who I've become. There is so much you don't know." His sincerity was captivating, yet a nagging doubt still whispered in her ear. Would uncovering more about him help heal or harm her? Would it hurt more to learn about the years lost or push her to embrace this reconnection? Then, just as she was about to surrender to that swirling tide of emotions, he said, "There's something I've held back for a long time, something I need to tell you." His gaze was intense, laced with an urgency she hadn't anticipated. "What is it?" Her voice fell to a whisper, and the bustle of the cafe faded into silence. I've been waiting to say this for 10 years. Her heart thudded loudly in her chest. She leaned in closer, her breath hitching with curiosity. What could he possibly reveal that could change everything? Suddenly, she felt the palpable tension of uncertainty hanging in the air. The journey ahead unfolded like a fragile map, each twist and turn leading to the unknown. And as the silence lingered, she wondered, what could be so important that it had been hidden for a decade? What truth would emerge from his lips? The air between them crackled with anticipation, each second stretching out like an eternity. Michael looked deep into her eyes, his expression a mix of apprehension and longing. Sarah, during all those years apart, I never stopped thinking about you. His voice trembled slightly, and she could see the weight of his words pressing down on him. A million thoughts raced through her mind. She had always believed that time would dull the pain of their separation, but here it was, raw and vivid. You're saying this now? After everything we've been through? Her heart thudded in her chest, both excited and frightened by the implications. I know. I shouldn't have waited so long. It wasn't fair to you or me. But, it was complicated, he sighed, his eyes drifting down to the table. When I left, I thought it was best for you. I wanted to protect you from my mistakes, from my life. Her breath caught. All these years, she had lived with the ache of unanswered questions, choices made in shadows. What do you mean complicated? You can't just tell me that and leave it open-ended. Michael shifted in his seat, still struggling to find the words. I thought I was doing the right thing. I was in a dark place back then, surrounded by bad influences. I didn't want that life for you. The guilt, it crushed me. His vulnerability cut through her bitter resentment like sunlight piercing through dark clouds. But, Michael, I didn't need you to protect me from you. I needed you to be honest. We could have faced it together. I know that now. His voice quivered, resolute yet still raw. I've spent the last decade trying to fix everything that fell apart. I went to rehab, tried to rebuild my life. And through it all, I realized that you were the one person I wanted by my side. Her heart swelled, but doubt lingered. Was this enough? Could they truly piece together something beautiful from the shards of their past? So what now? She asked, the words tasting bittersweet. What do you want from me? Just a chance, the opportunity to show you how much I've changed. To prove that we can start fresh. I've waited 10 years for you to walk back into my life, like I always hoped you would. His words hung in the air, echoing in her thoughts. Waiting or holding on? Did she dare to embrace what he was offering? After everything, was it fair to let herself hope again? Silence enveloped them, but it wasn't the suffocating silence of uncertainty, it was pregnant with possibility. But how can I trust you again? She whispered, fear creeping into her heart. What if it all fell apart again? I never want to lose you again. I'm here to earn your trust back, day by day, he promised, leaning closer, his sincerity sparkling in his gaze, and just then, a flash of hope ignited within her. The pull of the past mingled anxiously with a yearning for the future. Maybe, just maybe, there was something worth fighting for. As her mind whirred in circles, a thought struck her like lightning. What if what lay ahead was truly transformative? Would they be brave enough to rewrite their story together? With a mixture of fear and excitement swirling inside her, she looked deep into his eyes, wondering what tomorrow might bring. But the question lingered, could they really bridge the chasm time had created, and still find a way back to love? And amid the busy cafe, filled with laughter and life, Sarah felt the weight of decisions pressing down once more. What would she choose? How would their next chapter begin? The bustle of the cafe started to fade into the background as Sarah tried to process everything Michael had just revealed. She could almost hear her heart beating in her ears, louder than the clanging of cups and the soft chatter of other patrons. Here was this man, the boy she had once loved deeply, sitting across from her, bearing his soul. Yet, the very act of opening herself up again felt terrifying. I don't know, Michael, she managed to say, shaking her head slightly as if to dismiss the storm of emotions within her. It feels like too much. 10 years is a long time. You really expect me to just trust you again? He leaned in, the desperation in his eyes undeniable. I know I can't ask for your trust overnight, but I'm willing to wait. I'll do whatever it takes. Something in his gaze softened her resolve, yet a flicker of fear sparked within her. She had built walls around her heart to protect herself from the pain he had caused. And what if you break my heart again? She asked, her voice trembling. I can't pretend it didn't happen or that it's going to be easy, he replied earnestly. But I promise you, I'm not the same man I was before. I've fought to get to this point. I've learned so much about love and honesty. About myself. The sincerity in his voice melted a small part of her defenses. Perhaps there was truth to his words, but how could she be sure? The ghost of their past haunted her thoughts like a shadow. Maybe we should take it slow, see how things go? She suggested hesitantly, testing the waters. Michael nodded, relief washing over his features. I'll take any time you need. Just being here with you feels like a start. As they spoke, the cafe around them was a swirl of voices and laughter. For a moment, their world felt isolated from all of it. Conversation flowed between them, tentative yet warm, as they rehashed memories and shared the gaps of their lives during their separation. Laughter punctuated their hesitance, and slowly, she felt the weight of her burden start to lighten. But as Sarah glanced toward the door, the pang of uncertainty returned. What if I find out you haven't really changed? What if all this is just a facade? He took a deep breath, visibly bracing himself. You'll have to be the judge of that. I won't rush you. But I need you to know that I'll be honest. The commitment shimmered in his expression, and for the first time, she saw a flicker of the boy she remembered, the one who could make her laugh until her sides hurt, the one who ignited a fire in her heart. Yet, doubt still nagged at the corners of her mind like a persistent shadow. What do we even do now? She asked, feeling lost. How about we start with dinner? Just like old times, only different. His smile was genuine, that charming glint back in his eyes. As they left the cafe, the chill in the air took her breath away, but something felt rejuvenating. Walking beside him felt familiar, yet somehow new. Could this really be the beginning of a second chance? But just then, as she turned to speak, a figure caught her eye, a woman lingering near the entrance, her gaze fixed on Michael. The realization that there might be unresolved secrets looming beneath Michael's new life hit her like a punch to the gut. Wait. Who is she? Sarah's voice faltered as uncertainty gripped her heart, leaving her yearning for answers. What secrets was Michael still hiding, and how deep would she have to dig to uncover the truth? Sarah felt an electric surge of alarm coursing through her. She hadn't expected a specter of their shared past to materialize in the form of another woman. Panic tightened her chest as she tried to assess the situation. Was this woman the reason for Michael's transformation? The one who had helped him find himself in the years they had spent apart? Michael? Sarah's voice cracked, pulling him from whatever whirlwind of thoughts he'd been lost in. He turned, following her gaze toward the woman by the entrance. The stranger's expression was a mix of apprehension and recognition, her eyes darting between Michael and Sarah. I should go, she murmured softly, taking a step back, but Michael's hand reached out instinctively. Emily, wait. His voice was firm, a tone Sarah had never heard him use before. It made her heart race for another reason entirely. Emily? She repeated, her heart sinking. You know her? Sarah, please let me explain. Michael's expression had shifted, desperately searching for the right words. Explain what? She demanded, her voice rising despite her efforts to stay calm. What is she doing here? Are you too? No. He stepped closer to her, urgency radiating from his body. It's not like that. She's an old friend from college. We lost touch. I didn't expect her to be here. An old friend? Sarah couldn't quell the bitterness creeping into her voice. A friend who looks at you like that? She pointed toward Emily, who lingered near the door as if reluctant to leave but terrified to stay. Emily's expression had softened, a hint of sadness flickering in her eyes. She looked down, away from the storm brewing between Sarah and Michael. Just then, Sarah's heart softened slightly for the woman. Whatever the story was, it was clear Emily had reasons of her own. "Let me talk to her," Michael said, stepping back from Sarah. "Please. Just give me a moment." Sarah crossed her arms, unwilling to let go of the emotions brewing inside her. It felt like every fiber of her being was vibrating with uncertainty. What if he was still hiding things? Could this connection he had with Emily jeopardize everything they had just begun to rekindle? As Michael walked toward Emily, Sarah listened to the muffled words of their conversation. She felt like an outsider in her own story, torn between disbelief and the longing for clarity. She caught snippets of their exchange through the noise of the cafe. "I thought you were gone for good," Emily whispered, and Michael's response was lost in the crowd. Sarah's heart pounded. Was this about her? Had Emily been a ghost from their past, lingering long enough to remind Michael of the mistakes he'd made? Or was there more, something darker lurking behind those memories? Time stood still as Sarah watched the two of them. Every second felt weighted with the potential for betrayal. She found herself at a crossroad, faced with decisions she wasn't sure she was ready for. Should she trust him? Should she even care about an old friend reaching out? Michael turned back to her, his eyes pleading. "Sarah. What is it?" She shot back, trying to maintain control but feeling the tremor in her voice. "Please. I promise, I'll explain everything. Just give me a chance." The intensity in his gaze, a mix of sincerity and fear, brought her heart into conflict. Could she really unravel the truth without losing herself in the process? As she stood frozen, torn around the edges, one thought gripped her: what if this moment decided the course of her future? And then she heard Emily's voice again, stronger this time. "Michael, I've waited for you." What did that mean? What was she waiting for? As Sarah searched his face, she felt the walls she had so carefully built beginning to tremble. The air between them thickened, the questions hanging there like storm clouds. Did she dare to wade into this uncertainty, or would this revelation push her back into self-preservation mode? A decision loomed large before her. How far was she willing to fight for answers, and was she ready for the truth? Michael took a deep breath as he stepped toward Emily, the weight of the moment pressing against his chest. "Emily, can we not do this here?" he pleaded, his voice low enough for only her to hear. Emily's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "But I've missed you. Every day, I thought about reaching out." She hesitated, scanning the bustling cafe before her gaze landed on Sarah, who was just out of earshot but close enough to eavesdrop. "You should have told me you were back." Michael looked back at Sarah, whose expression was a mixture of hurt and confusion. "I didn't want to complicate things. I didn't think you would show up," he replied softly, tension creeping into his voice. Sarah felt as if the ground beneath her feet was shifting. She wanted to storm over, to demand answers. But a part of her hesitated, holding her back in fear of what she might unleash not just on Michael, but on herself. "Sarah," Michael called, his gaze never leaving her, and she felt the electric pull of his eyes. "Please, give me a second." At that moment, she realized this wasn't just about her and Michael anymore. It was about the past that both he and Emily shared, a decade of memories that had taken form in the space between them. What was it that had caused their paths to intertwine once more? Did that history threaten what she had with him? Just a second? Sarah thought bitterly. How much could really change in just a few moments? She stood there, legs shaking slightly, when something deep inside urged her to confront them. Wasn't this what she had wanted? The truth? With a sharp inhale, she pushed herself forward and confronted Michael directly. "Is this about you too?" she asked, her voice steadying as she focused on Michael's face. "Did you share something that I don't know about? Something that makes her waiting here make sense?" Emily flinched a bit at Sarah's words, crossing her arms tightly. "No. It's not about that," Emily protested, her honesty surprisingly clear. "I'm not here to tear anything down." There was something in her tone that softened Sarah's resolve, even if just a little. Emily looked genuine, not like the enemy she had constructed in her head. It was clear that she had feelings, but so did Sarah. They both loved Michael in their own ways. "I just want to know what this is all about," Sarah said, erasing any semblance of restraint in her voice. "If you two had something special, you need to tell me now." Michael stepped in closer to Sarah, the desperation evident in the way his hands balled into fists at his sides. "It was complicated, Sarah. We were young, we lost each other. But it was never what I had with you. You need to know that." "Then why are you asking her to wait?" Sarah shot back, now fueled by a mix of disbelief and raw emotion. Michael's jaw tightened, and for a moment, it seemed like he was struggling to find the words. "Because I never had closure." A sharp breath escaped from Sarah as she felt the implications of his words crash over her like a wave. "You never had closure? So, you've kept this door open for her?" Before Michael could answer, Emily interjected, "I respected your relationship. I never intended to come between you two." "Then, what were you doing here?" Sarah's voice quivered. "Did you think he would just run into your arms?" The cafe started to feel like a cage, the air thickening with misunderstanding and unspoken words. Tension grew in the small space around them. Every patron seemed to fade into the background, leaving only the three of them surrounded by an awkward silence filled with unfulfilled promises. Michael's face turned pale as he fought to maintain control. I can't lose you again, Sarah." "Then make a choice," Sarah demanded, every fiber in her being urging him to pick her. She felt the moment stretch taut between them, the stakes rising with every heartbeat. As Michael opened his mouth to speak, the door to the cafe swung open, and a bellowing voice erupted in the room. "Can anyone tell me where I might find?" The interruption shattered the tension, and all eyes turned toward the newcomer, curiosity peeking in the crowded space. Sarah glanced between Michael and Emily, feeling the stakes rise once more. What would she learn next? And would it change everything she thought she knew? The air crackled with potential, drawing her closer to the edge of a moment that could change everything. The door swung all the way open, revealing a tall figure clad in a worn leather jacket, his unkempt hair hanging just above piercing blue eyes. He stepped into the cafe, a man who drew attention not just for his appearance, but for the whirlwind of energy that seemed to envelop him. "Rachel!" he called out, instantly grabbing Sarah's attention and Michael's too. Sarah's heart raced. This new arrival didn't fit into the story she thought she was living. "Is that?" Michael's voice trailed off as he turned toward the stranger. "Yeah, it's me." The man waved, but his eyes were laser-focused on Emily, his expression softening as if he were staring at a long-lost sibling or a cherished friend. "I told you I'd find you." Emily's eyes widened. "Adam?" The name hung in the air, heavy with unspoken histories and the weight of missed chances. A barrage of thoughts coursed through Sarah's mind. Who was this Adam? What secrets lay behind his sudden reappearance? Michael's hand twitched at his side, an instinctual reaction to the unknown variables in the room. "Do you know him?" Sarah's voice trembled, uncertainty creeping in like a thief in the night. She felt exposed, standing at the edge of a precipice, teetering between trust and betrayal. "Yeah," Emily replied slowly, her gaze locked onto Adam. "We went to high school together." "We lost touch after you moved," Adam interjected, a shadow passing over his features. "Yeah, I've been looking for you since. You left without saying goodbye." Sarah's gut twisted as the pieces started to fall into place. The past, once neatly packed into a box, was spilling out all over their present. "So, you two are just catching up?" She couldn't keep the bitterness out of her voice. "I'm just trying to help," Adam said, a hint of frustration creeping into his tone. "Emily's been through a lot. I heard she was back in town, and I wanted to make sure she was okay." Michael moved closer to Sarah, seeking comfort in proximity. "What do you mean? What happened?" His voice was filled with concern, directly aimed at Emily. "Nothing. I mean, it's nothing. Just life, you know?" Emily looked caught between the urge to hide from the past and the pressing need to reveal more. "Just life?" Sarah echoed, feeling trapped under the weight of hidden truths. You mean this life? This drama we're standing in, happening right now? Guys, Adam said, raising his hands, I didn't mean to stir things up. I didn't even know you were here, Michael. His eyes darted back to Emily. I just wanted to do right by you. Right by her? Michael echoed. His tone shifted to a low growl, the protective instinct flaring up. You think stirring old wounds is going to help? Look, I'm just saying, Adam started, but Michael cut him off. Stay out of this. The cafe, already buzzing with energy, now pulsed with even more tension. Sarah watched, feeling like a spectator in her own life as the two men faced off. Emily stood between them, her expression conflicted. I didn't ask for any of this. I thought I could come back here and find some peace, but all that's happening is chaos. Sarah's heart sank as she noticed how Emily's words resonated deeply in Michael's face. It wasn't just about past relationships anymore, it was about the shared struggle they were all feeling, the wish for closure, for peace. In that charged moment, Sarah saw clearly, not just the danger of losing everything she had with Michael, but also a faint glimmer of hope for navigating a tangled web of emotions. Let us talk, all of us, Sarah suggested, her voice breaking the electric tension. We can't move forward if we keep running from the past. Michael's eyes met hers, surprised by her bravery, by her willingness to confront the mess head on. As the others shifted in response, uncertainty pooling around them, a silence fell, thick with the possibility of a fresh start. But would they find the strength to unearth the truths buried so deep, or would the shadows of the past tear them apart? And in that swirl of emotions, a profound question lingered: who would truly get the chance to start anew? The cafe was engulfed in a tense silence, broken only by the soft clattering of cups and murmurs from bystanders. Sarah's heart was a drum, pounding a rhythm of uncertainty. They were standing on the edge of something significant, something that could either fail spectacularly or lead them to healing. Let us talk, all of us, Sarah suggested. The room, thick with unspoken words, held its breath. She felt the weight of Michael's gaze, a mixture of surprise and admiration mingling with his confusion. We can't move forward if we keep running from the past, she added, her voice steady, cutting through the noise around them. For a moment, the air seemed clear, the chaos outside fading into the background. Michael's shoulders relaxed slightly, the tension easing as he nodded. Okay. We'll talk. Right here? Adam asked, incredulous, as if they had just suggested holding a meeting at Ground Zero. But Emily was shaking her head. No, let us go somewhere else. We can't do this in front of strangers. There was a hint of desperation in her tone, a clear plea for privacy amidst an emotional tsunami. Fine, but wherever we go, we're laying everything on the table, Sarah insisted, a fierce determination lighting her eyes. The group shared a glance, a silent agreement passing between them. As they left the cafe, the sunlight outside felt almost too bright after the shadows of their earlier conversation. They walked in a clump, the awkwardness lingering like a thick fog. Sarah felt Michael's soft presence close to hers, drawing strength from his proximity. But tension hung between them, buzzing like static electricity. They settled in a small park nearby, a space that felt open yet secure. The tree swayed gently with the wind, the rustling leaves offering a calm ambience as they found a secluded spot on a bench. Okay, let us talk, Sarah said, taking the initiative. What's your story, Emily? We all deserve to know what's going on. Her voice was firm, yet she felt her heart racing as she prepared for a possible onslaught of emotions. Emily took a deep breath, her eyes moistening as she began to speak. I didn't know how to find you after you left. I thought about you often, but I was scared to reach out. There was a nervous energy in her words as she looked at Michael. When I heard he was back in town, I just wanted to check on him. I didn't think it would land us here in this chaos. Checking on him? Sarah parroted, still apprehensive. You didn't think to call me? I didn't mean to come between you two, I swear, Emily pleaded. When I saw him again, it was like all these feelings. Michael interjected, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. Emily, we were young. We both made choices. that S in the past. But Sarah's heart raced. Michael, don't brush this off. We need clarity. If there's any chance of us moving forward, we need the truth. The confrontation held the space captive. Fine, he said, a desperate edge to his voice. It's true, we had something back then. But I chose to walk away from that life, Emily. I thought my absence would protect Sarah from my darkness. The weight of his confession hung in the air like a heavy curtain. Emily's expression was solemn, her voice barely above a whisper. I understood why you left. I always did. But I thought we might reconnect someday. And I admit, seeing you again brought back feelings I thought I had buried. Feelings don't just disappear because you pretend they do, Sarah asserted, swallowing hard. Michael, you can't go back to that life. We're standing on this precipice for a reason. You chose to take the leap with me. And I won't let you fall again, he responded, reaching out to clasp her hand, visibly owning his commitment. But you can't rewrite the past, Emily interjected. We all have baggage. Trying to ignore it will only lead to more pain. Tension pinched the air around them, each looking for the balance that worked for all involved. Sarah clenched her pounding heart. Choosing to take this leap of faith felt monumental. So what do we do? How do we find a way through this? Michael looked from Emily to Sarah, and for the first time, clarity broke through his expression. I choose you, Sarah. I want to fight for this for us. But I know I need to be honest about my past, and we need to discover what that means together. Together, Sarah echoed quietly, her heart swelling with hope. As they sat in their circle, fierce truths unfurled. Stories of loss, love, mistakes, and triumphs bubbled to the surface. One by one, they peeled back the layers of their lives, exposing vulnerabilities and burying shadows. In the days that followed, the promise of rebuilding became their beacon. Sarah took steps toward embracing a new normal, not just for herself, but for Ethan, whose hopes and dreams thrived with each small victory. With Michael, a cautious friendship began to blossom as they learned to navigate the complexities of their pasts. Emily remained a part of their support system, a reminder that healing can also come from old connections. The three of them found strength in each other. They laughed, they cried, and most importantly, they were honest. Together they forged the bonds that could withstand the tests of life, each revelation solidifying their commitment to face the future unafraid. Life was uncertain, but for the first time in years, Sarah felt a thrill of anticipation for what lay ahead. Hope danced in her heart like sunlight through trees, illuminating the path they had carved together, an uncharted territory full of potential. They were ready to write the next chapter, not fractured but fortified, able to shine brightly in the face of their shared past. And as Sarah looked toward the horizon, she realized that sometimes, in waiting, you find an incredible secret: the power of resilience, love, and the magic of new beginnings. Now, if you've loved this incredible journey with Sarah, Michael, and Emily, you need to subscribe now to the channel. This is the moment to show your support and not miss out on exclusive stories that will lift your spirits. Drop a like to feed the algorithm and keep these powerful tales alive. Comment below your thoughts, reactions, and how you felt about this beautiful conclusion. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation and join our journey of hope.